Hey everybody, Teri Wellbrock here. Just wanted to thank you for being here and being a part of this healing space. This is my soul work, as I've said often on this show and on my social media accounts. So I just feel compelled to put this beautiful light of hope out into the world with these interviews and just this inspiration that's happening in the world right now. I don't know, I feel as if there's a darkness that's trying to overcome us. You look on social media and you look on the news and it's just so overwhelming, but there's so much goodness and there's so much light. And we just need to focus on that. So that is my goal with this show. And again, I thank you for being here. Again, if you want to go to my academy.teriwellbrock.com, I have some courses on there, and I have some coaching that I've just started to utilize as well. So be sure to go visit that. Visit teriwellbrock.com, TeriWellbrock, and you can sign up for my monthly Hope for Healing newsletter. And be sure to go to the YouTube channel or the Facebook page or any of the audio outlets and subscribe. The podcast just hit downloaded in 100 countries. Woohoo! So that's a big milestone. We're now in 100 countries. All right. Well, this was a great interview coming up, so stay tuned. Welcome, everybody, to the Healing Place podcast. I am your host, Teri Wellbrock, and very excited to have with me today Debbie Anderson. And Debbie is a writer, healer, medium, clairvoyant medium, and really the creator of the vibrational energy system, which I'm so excited to learn about and talk about. So welcome, Debbie.
Thank you so much, Teri. And beyond that, I'm mother, grandmother, all of those kind of things. So totally human in a spiritual way, hopefully. So thank you for having me on board. I'm really excited for the way our conversation is going to unravel and happen today.
Oh, me too. Well, especially because right before we hit record, we had a little 5-minute chat, and
Yes.
you held up some cards, and the first one, for everyone who knows, has a heart on it. So all of you who know, I love hearts. Oh my gosh, it's so resonated. Like my eyes literally welled up with tears for a second.
And I always pull a card, and that was from the I Am Sacred deck. I always pull a card, and it's actually 33, which is very significant. It's very spiritual. If we think of 11, 22, 33 was related to Jesus Christ. And he said, I am sacred to the vibrational breath that all is well. And I feel that that's going to be part of how we unravel today or let it loose. And of course, the second card I pulled from the vibrational energy, which is a giggle factor. And as I said to you, I know we're going to have fun, and hopefully your viewers will as well, as we let this conversation just happen.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I'm telling you, I have goosebumps all over me right now because, not kidding, when I told you I went outside to dry my hair a little bit in the sun and just enjoy a moment before our recording here, I just closed my eyes and looked up at the sun, and I've been having this like tickle in my throat and allergy and I've never had allergies before. And I had just said, all right, angels, Jesus, whoever's listening, I just need your healing hands on me. And then you just said that with all is right. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, because we tend to get caught up. And let me just be very clear here. I'm still learning how to do this properly. So some people say to me, but you're this and that and all the rest of it, so you must be all in tune. No, I'm human, and sometimes I screw up too. So the biggest thing that I was saying to you is we need to live and embrace life in that moment. Like the moment we're here together, the moment we're cherishing with our family or friends or watching a video or whatever it is, because that way we're not looking back and we're certainly not worrying about the future, but instead we're totally present in the now. So you don't miss a thing. And even if it's not exactly as you planned or expected, I always say to myself, remember, you're exactly where you should be in life. That's why you're here. This is the reason. So whether you like it or not, just suck it up, princess, and get over it. Because that is something we need to do. And as I say, I'm still learning. I sometimes have to quickly do a check-in to myself and say, look, come on, you're getting all wound up about this, or you're getting wound up about that. Does it really matter? And I think that's something that we do need to remind ourselves on, maybe a lot or maybe a little, but it just happens, you know. And I always say to people, so you were in that moment and you were getting all blah, whatever. Don't beat yourself up. Yeah. Don't self-flagellate. We don't have to. Like, just go, okay, why was I reacting that way? Or what was coming up that I was not aware of? And then when we do that, we just go, okay. Now I go into my heart and say, okay, what was I to learn from that moment?
Oh, yes.
And then when we go into our heart and we say, okay, do I recognize this? Do I honor this? And then we move forward.
I was just about to say that. You sucked it out of my head. I was going to say, what lessons I try to stop if I'm in a situation that's either I'm uncomfortable or I'm irritated or whatever it is, and take a step back and say, all right, what am I supposed to be learning from this?
Or what is the experience here? Because maybe the experience is something, I'm never going to do this again. Okay, that happens. Okay, and that's just our alertness that we say, okay, when this is starting to come again, we go, okay, last time, maybe I don't want to do this time, or maybe it's, okay, this may be a different experience. A bit like going to a restaurant, okay? When in the days when we would go to a restaurant and you had this fantastic meal and it's the best you've ever had there, and you're like, I'm going to go back. And then the second time you go back, you're like, oh, is it a different chef or whatever it is? So was the first experience really what we were experiencing, or is it just what we perceived it to be? So then we have a choice with that restaurant to say, do I go back the third time just to give it the third choice, or do I make my decision now? And that's just like all the things that happen to us in our day-to-day beingness, what we experience, what we see, how we perceive it, what our emotional state is at that moment. Because I always say to people, never make a decision, a heavy decision on a rainy or horrible, grungy kind of day. Always make it when the sun is shining, because we will have a different outlook to it. Yes. And maybe our outlook at that moment is, don't make this decision. Just step aside and see what now transpires. Like, what emotions are we feeling? And just let it happen. Yeah. Hey, does that make sense?
Oh my gosh, I was just about to say, I mean, so brilliant. The whole restaurant analogy had my mind reeling, and it's just such a brilliant analogy, because I think I have been to restaurants before hungry, right? And like shoveling it in, and I'm like, this is the best thing I've ever had in my life.
Exactly.
And later, but it's because of where I was in that moment. Yes. Yeah.
So, and of course, we can all equate to that, whether we've been to McDonald's or whether we've been to big fancy schmancy, okay? You know, it's just as we are in that moment. What are the emotions? What is happening inside of us? What's happening around us? And all those interactive parts, because, you know, it can make a huge difference to us, and we have to make a decision. Do we embrace it? Do we go back and try it again? Do we step away from it? So we have choices. And I think that's something that I try and remind myself when I awake in the morning. See, I always give my blessings at the end of the day, but we can give them at any time of the day. You know, thank you for giving me another day. And many years ago, when my dad was alive, he lived in Australia and I was living in Canada. And he would usually say to me, tomorrow exists because I'm already in it, because they're always a day ahead of me. And I used to love that, because I thought somewhere tomorrow exists, because it's ahead of us wherever we live in the world at the moment. So when we are in that experience of living, I feel that at the moment we're less in doingness, if that makes sense, like, or busyness, and more in beingness. And the difference between being in beingness is that we should be checking in with ourselves on a regular basis. Is this what I want to do? Is this what I'm going to do? Is this right for me? And all those kind of things that we maybe don't do when we're in the doing this, because it's like, I've got to do this, I've got to do that, I've do. Not do-dos, but do. And sorry, this is my giggle factor.
I love it. That's our giggle card.
So when we're resonating with something, we are in that beingness, then that's something we should connect with and go, okay, this is where I need to be. This is what I need to be feeling, doing, experiencing. And it's this whole elevated level of ourselves, and that is there for everyone. Okay, I'm not saying I will have it all, this particular guru will have it. We all have it. We just have forgotten how to tap into that, how to use it.
Yeah, well, and I think we're silenced a lot by all the shoulds that society, others, whomever put on us of how we should be behaving. And I only think of moving here to Hilton Head Island. I tell myself now, all right, you're on island time. You're in island life. I do hashtag island girl, because yesterday I took a bike ride in the middle of the day because it was a beautiful day. And I said, I think I'm going to go for a bike ride. And I did it. But there was that little tape loop playing in my head of, you really should be working. It's the middle of the day.
Yeah. And this is where we have this whole, I always call it like the angel and the devil. If you've got to give it a good or a bad interpretation. See, our head is our processor. Think of it in a computer. It keeps all the data in there, all the information, and it's there to protect us. So that's like we get the update on our computer. It says, you must do this update to protect your stuff in there. So that's what our head does. So it's not trying to stop us from doing something. It's just reminding us. And this is why I always say to people, when you've got a question, ask it in your heart. So like, I'm going for a bike ride. Is that a good thing? And your heart's going to say, sure, let's do that. We're going to have fun. Yeah, thank you, Teri. Whereas your head's going to say, well, you've got all this work to do, and usually you're doing this and da-da-da. Because it's used to that program that is there, that we've put in there. And as I say, it's not a right or a wrong or good or bad. It's just now we're not reprogramming. It's like, and it's not even deprogramming. We're just going with a different resonance of energy, with the vibration of being, and going, okay, so this morning I'm going to wake up and I'm going to do that. And yes, if we have scheduled things that we have to do, yes, they all come into it. But I think more as time has gone on, especially in the last year, we are all in our own way creating a different outlook for ourselves, if that makes sense.
Yes. And I have a question for you about that. Okay. A little deep dive that popped into my head just now. I personally feel as if there's a shift happening, that more people are awakening. Do you believe a vibrational, that we're starting to vibrate on a higher level as overall?
Yeah. So I believe that we're always shifting and changing. If we look at our life 10 years ago, and we just look at our own individual life and how much it's changed to this point. Now we go back maybe a month ago and how much has changed. So we're always shifting and changing. The difference is here, is somebody more elevated or higher? I don't think it's a case of higher or lower. I think each of us are in that position, that energy, that vibration that we need to be in. And yes, it is an awakening, because we're going inside and we're going, okay, let me know. Or we're going up, whether it's in prayer or whether it's in meditation. So I think this solitude that we are having is creating us to tap into all the other resources that we've forgotten about. Like, everybody is born psychic. Okay, and some viewers may go, oh, that goes against all I believe in. So let me explain how that works. We all have a guardian angel. We all have that resource that is connected in spirit. And here's an example. Everyone in their lifetime has had that sense of, I haven't heard from, say, Teri in a while. And then all of a sudden, Teri pops up in our feed on social media, or we get a message from her. And they go, I was just thinking about you. And that is spirit just going, hey, you need to connect. You need to be in connection with that person. So some people go, oh, well, I think it must be bad when I get this sense about somebody. No, it's not. It's just spirit saying, hey, don't forget Teri, she's part of your life too. Reach out, say hi. So that we've all had that experience at least once in our life. And for many, it's a reoccurring, excitable, vibrational shift that happens with us. So I always say to people, when that starts to happen with you, if you get a thought about someone, or if you say, maybe I should do this, then follow it through and see where it leads you, because I don't think there are any mistakes. This is a synchronistic tune that we're connecting to. And when you were saying this higher awareness, I think it's just we're going into awareness, and each of us has our own awareness. You know, some people go to me, yeah, but you're so elevated, you're this, you're that. I'm like, please don't do that. Because if you put somebody up on a pedestal, somebody's going to kick the legs out from underneath it and they're going to fall. So if I'm in my integrity, if I'm in honoring the journey that I'm taking, and I don't put myself above or below, I put myself, everybody's in wherever they need to be, and that's all it should be. I think we've got so much in society over the years of the expectation that we need to be at this level, or we need to be at this point in our lives based on what social media is telling us, the people around us are telling us, the advertising is telling us, the marketing. And so that's what we feel we need. Whereas now we're being given that opportunity to go, okay, what do I actually need now? And then tapping into self and listening to that amazing connection we have with our spiritual, our godly, our universal, whatever name you like to call it, connection. And that's where sometimes we're going, yeah, but somebody's more above me, or they meditate more, or they do this, or they do that. You're doing what you need to do for you. And the more you do it for you, the better it is. Many, many years ago, I loved, a friend of mine said, there was this very wise guru teacher that had was giving people information and sharing information on his life, and people were able to go up and ask him an individual question about themselves. And of course, they each had a microphone. And this couple went up to this high teacher and said, "What should we do?" And he sat and he contemplated. He said, "You should eat pizza." And the couple were absolutely shocked. "What do you mean we should eat pizza?" "That's what you should do. You should eat pizza." "But we've come to this seminar and this is what you're telling us." He said, "You're expecting me to tell you what you should be doing. And I'm telling you, eat pizza. But now you say you don't want to eat pizza? So what do you want from me?" And I thought, wow, this for me was a resonance of sometimes we're constantly asking others what is good for us, whereas we have the answers within us of what is good for us.
Yeah.
So I hope that makes a little bit of
No,
sense
it
there.
does
But
make sense.
yeah,
And my mind went to, it was probably his way of saying you need to spend time together and enjoy one another's company, and you both
yeah.
love pizza and find that commonality. That's where my head went with
Yeah,
it.
well, they totally went into this. I was expecting a higher message. I
Yeah.
was expecting that we should go into the
Right.
desert and whatever. And sometimes people get so caught up in that they miss. That's why I'm saying back to be present in that moment of what you're experiencing. You can't look
Yes.
back. You can reflect on the back, and you can't worry about what is going to happen because there is only that moment. And this
Right.
is where when we can discern, we can question it within ourselves. Is this right for me? But we can't have an expectation for Teri to say to Debbie, this is what you need to do. Or Debbie to say to Teri, this is what you should do. Because then we're being led by something else other than ourselves.
Yes. Well, and thank you so much for your explanation and answer to my question, because I, it just helped me see it from a totally different perspective.
Yeah.
And yeah, beautiful. Thank you.
We are all in an awakening, but we have been for a long time. Some are more connected to their self. And when I say their self, I'm talking about their heart rather than their ego. And they're starting to get more answers and more clarity. And yes, if that is an awakening for them, great. And there's no right time for anybody to awaken. I had a lady that was in her 60s. She said, but it's too late for me to awaken. I'm 64, by the way. But she said, it's too late for me to awaken. So I said, but why do you feel that you had to do it at an early age? It doesn't matter when you do it. It's when it's right for you.
Yes. Oh,
And I
I
think
love
that
that.
is where we need to stop assuming. And again, we're trying to judge ourselves by this person or that person, or what social media is telling us, or what the sales, the marketing, and all the rest of it. So, I always say to people, switch it all off and spend some time with you and see where it takes you.
Yes, I say it often on this show and in life. We are all on our own journeys, and not everyone is in the same place as us. So it just sometimes that's where compassion comes in
Yes.
so often, is saying, you know what, that person's not, probably hasn't done the healing work that
Yeah.
I've done.
Yeah.
Yeah, so their anger is coming out or whatever it may be. Yes.
And sometimes, something will, what I call, flip back and smack me in the jaw. And I'm like, I thought I dealt with that. I thought that I had cleared that and moved away from it. And obviously there was a resonance there in the vibration, that something came up and triggered it and said, you haven't fully let it go, or you haven't fully dealt with it. So when those things happen to any of us, I always say, be kind to yourself. I haven't reached perfection, and I'm concluding to reach perfection is when I go back to spirit, and then I would have reached perfection. So I'm still walking every day on this journey. And yes, sometimes I trip, sometimes I slip, sometimes I bound forward, and sometimes I just sit. So each of us need to be gracious with ourselves and kind to ourselves, and just understand, this is where I need to be. This is what I need to experience. Don't fight it. Don't try and run away from it. Just be there.
Yes. Beautiful. Beautiful,
Thank
beautiful,
you.
beautiful. Thank you. Again. I could just sit here and let you tell me amazing, beautiful, inspirational things for a few hours. So
I can only I can only give from my heart. I can share from my own life experiences. And some people look at me and go, "Oh, you're so blessed you've had this." I'm like, I've made a journey. And if I was to sit and to tell you my story, you go, "Oh my God." Okay? So each of us have our story, and that's how we evolve from that story. And I say to people, you can be a victim or a victor. There's two letters: victim, I'm a victim, or victor, or I can change things. And that is exactly what everybody has. And every 24 hours when I get up, I go, I have a blank page here. I can create something, I can sit there and do something mindless, I can have a combination of all of it, but that's my 24 hours. And at the end of that 24 hours, or at the time when I go to sleep, I always say my blessings, my prayers, my thanks, whatever you like it to call it. And I'm thankful for every experience, even the ones I didn't really like. I'm thankful it came to me in that form, because it could have been a lot worse.
yeah. And
So
I just have to share really quick that
yeah,
my wish list, one of my wish list items is because we moved to an island, is to have a boat. I used to have a boat, and I went a boat, and I told the family, I said, all right, but I want to name it Victory. And
I love it. Well,
and when you were saying that,
I hope you're working on your manifesting that and making it real, because that's something we tend to forget as well, is that we can all manifest. Like if we spent as much time on the positive aspects as we do on the negative, just think what we could create.
Yeah.
And we all have that ability within us. I think we just underestimate it, or think that we're not worldly, or we're not worthy, or any of the above. And it's like we need to change that vibration and actually say, I am in acceptance of the universal manifestations that I can create. Or whatever words work for you. Because people say, what were the words you just said? I said, it doesn't matter what the words are. It has to be what comes from you. So if you believe in you, that you can do all these amazing things, which we have all done amazing things in our lives. We've either overcome something, or we've walked through the fire, or we've joyously created. And when we accept how magnificent we are, how vibrational we are, and the abilities that are within us, nothing can stop us.
Yes. Amen and hallelujah. And I agree. So another question I have, you're inspiring questions in my head to pop up. So, and it's probably, my little angel tapping on my shoulder and saying,
I love
hey.
Yeah. Get
So
the insider stuff.
yes, exactly. So can people, I know, and I'm asking only because I know the answer for me, can they tap into those messages from angels and spirit guides and so forth?
Yes. This is where we need to go within, heart-centered. Now, some people go, but I can't meditate, or I'm not really good in meditation, or something like that. So I say to people, okay, there are many roads that lead to Rome. Okay, so if you are not the person that can sit there in the Zen-like position, which I can't, okay, and there's like the Zen-like position, I can't sit in that position. It hurts my legs, okay? So I put my legs out straight, and then I sit there, or I lie back, or I go for a walk, or I go for a swim, okay? When we're there fully present in that time for ourselves, then that's when we can open up those questions. And I always say to people, if you're not sure of that, if you want to connect with a person that's passed into spirit that you know and love, just before you go to bed at night, PJs on, teeth cleaned, social media pinging and tinging switched off completely, lie on your bed, either with their picture of them or remembering their name, and have a conversation with them as if they were there in the room with you. I know it will seem like it's one-sided, but maybe you're going to share your day. I had a beautiful day today, or today this red cardinal reminded me of you, or the hummingbird, or whatever, and have that conversation. Now drift into sleep. You can ask questions as well, but only ask one, because otherwise it can be like a small child getting near Christmas. What do you want for Christmas? I want this. Oh, no, I want that. Oh, no, I want that. And spirit go, until you've made up your mind or you decide what you want, we will just sit and wait. Okay, so try and just keep it to one question. Drift off to sleep. And then when you awaken in the morning, always have a journal, a notepad, or something beside your bed so you can record, write down. And even if it may have felt like a Salvador Dali painting, your dream that you saw a ballerina and a clock tower and a lion, take those little pieces and put them together. What does a lion mean to you? Is it the roar? Is it to do with the being the king of the jungle? You know, those kind of things. Does the ballerina mean that you're walking around on broken eggshells at the moment? You're trying to step around things? Or does it mean you're up on your tippy toes and you're saying to the world, here's me? So each of us will create our own analogies based on what we believe or sense or create. And then keep that connection going every night for 30 days. Because the more we do this, the more we get into that resonance of connecting with that person in spirit. And then we'll allow all those messages to come through. And they are going to come through. And they may not come through in dream state, but I always say to people, be in awakened awareness. Maybe there's a feather maybe there's the hummingbird, maybe there's a cardinal, and we go, oh, that's a message. Maybe we need to look up the totem animal. Maybe we saw a bunch of numbers. So this is where we have to be our own decipherer, if that's a word.
Yes. Creating self-harmony. Hit the healing button. Do you want to talk about that?
We can. And this again is where we can create our own paradigm shift. Okay. And what I mean by that is our inner transformation. This is where we consciously step into our own awareness. And as part of our spiritual growth, because we're in continual spiritual growth, as I said, we're shifting and moving all the time, we can be affected or infected by those around us. Everything. That's why I said switch off the social media, switch off the TV, and connect with yourself. And it can also be friends and family and work colleagues and on social media and some stuff like this. So the biggest thing I always believe is don't get caught up in somebody else's drama. Okay, each of us have our own little dramas going on at some point, because we need to move our mind into a different perspective. And we're at a point in our world at the moment where there is feeling like there's divides, and we may have an opinion on this, or somebody may have an opinion on that. And I always say to people when I'm posting on Facebook, if you don't like what I'm saying, keep scrolling, please.
Yeah. Yes.
This is my space. And so I honor that because I've said it, and I honor that with others. And if I don't like what they've said, or I don't agree with their opinion, their thought, their vibrational frequency or whatever, then I just keep scrolling, because we are in different perspectives. And what I love is when we move into the principles of creating this release from us, our own paradigms, you know, whether it's a friend, the job, the family member, we have to change it, because it's not working for us anymore.
Right.
You know, and as Einstein said, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, but expecting different results. And if you've tried different ways with something and it's not working, then really the decision is yours. And this is where I say to people, remember to let go with love, because this is about shifting our mindset, creating the new paradigm that is going to work for us. And as I said, when we look back in our own life, 5 years, 10 years, etc., we can see the shifts and change we've made. The other thing I like to say to people is pause plus rest equals reset. So we tend to lose sight of what really matters. We say things like, I barely have time to do this. So we need to take a breath. We say things like, I never have time to do, I'm always too busy. And, you know, there are endless statements there that we can say. But we have to identify what ones we're creating. And if we're perpetuating continual excuses within us not to do this. Okay, so that's where it's pause, rest, and reset. So the pause part is we have to stop and connect to that. The rest can be our meditation, our inner work, and then we hit the reset button. Okay, my last one I'm going to do, and I can't even do the thing, live long and prosper.
Oh, right.
I can't do the Vulcan thing. I'm not very good at that. But it's the more we feed ourselves, both physically and spiritually, with things that sustain us, that nourish us both nutritionally and divinely, we strengthen both our physical and spiritual immune systems. Okay, the more we flourish and grow, and that includes what we eat, what we think, what we say, what we take on board. So we have to remember that we're human. It's okay. As I said before, we make a mistake. So don't beat yourself up on it. Just instead check in and answer, why did I do it this way? And then understand so you're in readiness for next time. So I hope that really helps everyone to understand. And all I say is practice, 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 because eventually we get to perfection. And I've not reached it yet, but I'm working on it in every day in every way. And I'm sure all of your viewers are too. So if today is not the right day for you, then wait till tomorrow and do it tomorrow.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Amen again. Because I'm in the middle of creating a course and I just went through it for the 50th time to make sure everything's correct.
That's okay.
And the one thing that I'm talking about was mindfulness practice. And I actually put the definition of practice from the dictionary because to emphasize the point that it really is a practice, that
Yeah.
I just didn't one day decide, oh, I'm going to practice mine or just do mindfulness every day.
Yeah.
No, it
Yeah.
was a habit that I had to create. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And the more we perpetuate that habit in a good way, the easier it becomes.
Yeah.
It's a bit like going to the gym for the first time. Okay, I want to use the weights, I want to use the gym machine, or I want to be fit and healthy. We have to build those muscles. And this is what I say to people, these are our spiritual muscles, and we just have to work on them and strengthen them. So
Yes.
just do what you can and then keep building on it.
Yes. All right. So anything else that you wanted to touch upon that we hadn't had an opportunity to talk about yet?
I think we've covered it all.
We did. We did so good.
Besides, I love it.
Awesome. So now how do people connect with you? How do they find you?
Well, the easiest way is to go to my website, and that's vibrational-energy.com. On there is, I have readings, I have testimonials, I have stuff that's free. There's all kinds of things, or the podcast, like the podcast I'm on now, and all that kind of thing, so people can listen to it. And if you want to connect with me on social media, all of those links are there on my website, and it's all there, kind of thing.
Wonderful. Oh my
So
gosh.
vibrational-energy.com, and that's me.
Okay. Fabulous.
Thank
And
you.
thank you. Again, I'm just such a blessing to have you here and share your beautiful insights and beautiful
Thank you.
light. So thank you. All right. Well, everyone, thanks for joining us today on the Healing Place podcast. And remember, until next time, be gentle with yourself.
Yes.
Thanks. Bye-bye. Hey, everybody. Teri Wellbrock again. Just wanted to thank you for listening to the episode today and remind you to visit my website as well as the academy.teriwellbrock.com for the courses. But if you go to my website, teriwellbrock.com, you can sign up for my monthly Hope for Healing newsletter, which is also jam-packed with information and strategies and blog pieces and guest blog pieces and links to shows. And just a great space for, again, healing and hope strategies. Thanks for, again, being here and being a part of this healing space. I very much appreciate you. All right. Bye-bye.